All right, we're going to watch the Grok 4 live stream together. It is already an hour plus late. I am super tired. It's late at night. Let's watch it together anyways. What else do I have to do? And by the way, make sure you're subscribed to this channel. I'm going to be testing Grok 4 thoroughly. There's going to be multiple Grok 4 videos coming out. So again, subscribe and be here for those videos.
Grok 4, if given like the SAT, would get perfect SATs every time, even if it's never seen the questions before. And if even going beyond that to say like graduate student exams like the GRE, it will get near perfect results in every discipline of education. So from the humanities to like languages, math, physics, engineering, pick anything, and we're talking about questions that it's never seen before. These are not on the internet. And Grok 4 is smarter than almost all graduate students in all disciplines simultaneously.
Yeah, he's talking about generalization, which we haven't really seen a ton of in major models, but apparently Grok 4 can do it. There's been a lot of debate whether generalization is actually happening in these frontier models. All right, let's keep watching.
Like, it's actually just important to appreciate that's really something. And the reasoning capabilities of Grok are incredible. So there's some people out there who think AI can't reason, and look, it can reason at superhuman levels. So yeah, and frankly, it only gets better from here. So we'll take you through the Grok 4 release, and show you like the pace of progress here. Like, I guess the first part is like in terms of the training, we're going from Grok 2 to Grok 3 to Grok 4. We've essentially increased the training by an order of magnitude in each case. So it's 100 times more training than Grok 2, and that's only going to increase. So it's, frankly, I mean, I don't know, in some ways a little terrifying, but the growth of intelligence here is remarkable.
Yes. It's important to realize there are two types of training compute. One is the pre-training compute. That's from Grok 2 to Grok 3. But from Grok 3 to Grok 4, we're actually putting a lot of compute in reasoning in RL.
Yeah, and just like you said, this is literally the fastest moving field. And Grok 2 is like the high school student by today's standard. If we look back in the last 12 months, Grok 2 was only a concept. We didn't even have Grok 2 12 months ago. And then by training Grok 2, that was the first time we scale up like the pre-training. We realized that if you actually do the data ablation really carefully, and the infra, and also the algorithm, we can actually push the pre-training quite a lot by amount of 10x to make the model the best pre-trained base model. And that's why we built Colossus, the world's supercomputer with 100,000 H100. And then with the best pre-trained model, and we realized if you can collect these verifiable outcome reward, you can actually train this model to start thinking from the first principle, start to reason, correct its own mistakes. And that's where the Grok 3 reasoning comes from. And today we ask the question, what happens if you take the expansion of Colossus with all 200,000 GPUs, put all these into RL, 10x more compute than any of the models out there on reinforcement learning?
Yeah, that's super exciting to have that kind of data set that is reinforcement learning with verifiable rewards. If you've watched this channel, you've heard me talk about this a bunch of different times. That's where they've scaled up. So from Grok 2 to Grok 3, it was all about pre-training. From Grok 3 to Grok 4, it is all about post-training, reinforcement learning, and they scaled up significantly. And we'll see what it results in.
So yeah, let's just talk about how smart Grok 4 is. So I guess we can start discussing this benchmark called Humanities Last Exam. And this benchmark is a very, very challenging benchmark. Every single problem is curated by subject matter experts. It's in total 2,500 problems. And it consists of many different subjects: mathematics, natural sciences, engineering, and also all the humanities subjects. So essentially when it was first released, actually like earlier this year, most of the models out there can only get single-digit accuracy on this benchmark. Yeah, so we can look at some of those examples. So there is this mathematical problem, which is about natural transformations in category theory. And there's this organic chemistry problem that talks about electrocyclic reactions. And also there's this linguistic problem that tries to ask you about distinguishing between closed and open syllabus from a Hebrew source text. So you can see also it's a very wide range of problems. And every single problem is PhD or even advanced research level problems.
Yeah, I mean, there are no humans that can actually answer these, can get a good score. This is much harder than what any human can do. It's incredibly difficult. And you can see from the types of questions, like you might be.
Yeah, so humanities last exam is definitely the hardest benchmark out there. Maybe the ARC AGI prize as well. Very hard, but very different. But these questions are insane. It takes the leaders in the field and teams of them to solve these questions. These are frontier knowledge questions for humanity. And other frontier models have really only scored, as they said, single-digit percentage success rates. And so hopefully they're going to show Grok 4 was a significant improvement in it. But again, we're just waiting now.
Incredible in linguistics or mathematics or chemistry or physics or any one of a number of subjects, but you're not going to be at a postgrad level in everything. And Grok 4 is a postgrad level in everything.
Yeah, that's the key, right? It's whoever is the expert in mathematics, in this specific field of mathematics, they're going to take a long time to solve these problems. And they're not also going to be an expert at chemistry and at linguistics and other fields as well. But that apparently is what Grok is going to be.
Like it's just, some of these things are just worth repeating. Like Grok 4 is postgraduate, like PhD level in everything. Better than PhD, but like most PhDs would fail. So it's better that said, I mean, at least with respect to academic questions, I want to just emphasize this point. With respect to academic questions, Grok 4 is better than PhD level in every subject, no exceptions. Now, this doesn't mean that at times it may lack common sense, and it has not yet invented new technologies or discovered new physics, but that is just a matter of time.
That's interesting. So I think he just said it hasn't discovered new science yet, but other projects have. We've had Alpha Evolve from Google that really has discovered new ways to improve the algorithm across all of Google's servers. We've had projects out of Sakana AI scientists that has submitted new research and actually had papers approved and accepted. So it's interesting to hear that Grok 4 hasn't done that, but he did say it's inevitable.
I think it may discover new technologies as soon as later this year. And I would be shocked if it has not done so next year.
Obviously, Elon Musk's timelines don't always come true, just like tonight's live stream.
And it might discover new physics next year. And within 2 years, I'd say almost certainly. So just let that sink in.
Oh my God, pause for a second. Look how awkward these guys are looking. I can't tell if they're looking super proud or, oh my God, is he saying this? I now have to deliver on that promise.
Okay, so I guess we can talk about what's behind the scene of Grok 4. As Jimmy mentioned, we actually throwing a lot of compute into this training. When it started, it's only also a single digit. Sorry, the previous slide. Sorry. Yeah. It's only a single digit number. But as you start putting in more and more training compute, it started to gradually become smarter and smarter, and eventually solved a quarter of the HLE problems.
That's really good. Look at that. They unfortunately don't have any figures on the x-axis to show off what the training compute increase has been, but let's just say it's linear. And here you go. You can just see as they've added more, you've had this nice increase over training compute all the way up to about 27%. So that is over a quarter of the humanities last exams problems solved.
This is without any tools. The next thing we did was,
wow. Then they gave it tools. So I'm guessing that's web search and memory and other things like that. Let's see.
Was to adding tools capabilities to the model. And unlike Grok 3, I think Grok 3 actually is able to use CRO as well, but here we actually make it more native in the sense that we put the tools into training. Grok 3 was only relying on generalization. Here, we actually put the tools into training. And it turns out this significantly improves the model's capability of using those tools.
I remember we had like deep search back in the days.
Yeah.
So how is this different?
Yeah, exactly. So deep search was exactly the Grok 3 reasoning model, but without any specific training, but we only asked it to use those tools. So compared to this, it was much weaker in terms of its tool capabilities.
And unreliable. Yeah.
And unreliable,
Right.
yes.
And to be clear, like these are still, I'd say, this is still fairly primitive tool use. If you compare it to, say, the tools that are used at Tesla or SpaceX, where you're using, finite element analysis and computational fluid dynamics, and you're able to run, or say like Tesla does, like crash simulations, where the simulations are so close to reality that if the test doesn't match the simulation, you assume that the test article is wrong. That's how good the simulations are. So Grok is not currently using any of the tools, the really powerful tools that a company would use, but that is something that we will provide it with later this year. So we'll have the tools that a company has, and have very accurate physics simulator. Ultimately, the thing that'll make the biggest difference is being able to interact with the real world via humanoid robots. So you combine sort of Grok with Optimus, and it can actually interact with the real world and figure out if it can formulate an hypothesis and then confirm if that hypothesis is true or not. So we're really, I think about like where we are today. We're at the beginning of an immense intelligence explosion.
He said the word intelligence explosion.
In the intelligence Big Bang right now. And we're at the most interesting time to be alive of any time in history. Yeah. Now, that said, we need to make sure that the AI is a good AI, good Grok. And the thing that I think is most important for AI safety, at least my biological neural net tells me, the most important thing for AI is to be maximally truth-seeking. So this is a very fundamental. Like you can think of AI as this super genius child that ultimately will outsmart you, but you can still instill the right values and encourage it to be sort of, truthful, honorable, good things like the values you want to instill in a child that would ultimately grow up to be incredibly powerful.
I hope that's the case. There's always a chance that it's just not going to work out that way. If you have this machine that is so much smarter than you and all humans, what's to say the morals, the honorability that you instill in the model persists past the point where it becomes superhuman in intelligence? So it's an open question. I hope he's right. I hope the AI community is right. We will see.
Yeah, so this is really, I'd say, when we say tools, these are still primitive tools, not the kind of tools that serious commercial companies use. But we will provide it with those tools, and I think it will be able to solve, with those tools, real-world technology problems. In fact, I'm certain of it. It's just a question of how long it takes.
Yes, exactly.
So is it just compute all you need, Tony?
Sorry?
Is it just compute all you need at this point?
Well, you need compute plus the right tools, and then ultimately to be able to interact with the physical world.
Now, interacting with the physical world is interesting. He's mentioned that a few times tonight. And honestly, I haven't thought about that all that much. Not many other companies have everything that xAI has. xAI has Tesla with their autonomous vehicles. They are building out humanoid robots. They have the X.com data set, which is, dirty, but enormous. They have Colossus with the compute. So they really do have all the ingredients necessary to break through and really have super intelligence.
I mean, we'll effectively have an economy that is, well, ultimately an economy that is thousands of times bigger than our current economy, or maybe millions of times. I mean, if you think of civilization as percentage completion of the Kardashev scale, where Kardashev 1 is using all the energy output of a planet, and Kardashev 2 is using all the energy output of a sun, and 3 is all the energy output of a galaxy. We're only, in my opinion, probably like closer to 1% of Kardashev 1 than we are to 10%. So like maybe a point or 1 or 2% of Kardashev 1. So we will get to most of the way, like 80-90% Kardashev 1, and then hopefully, if civilization doesn't self-annihilate, and then Kardashev 2, like it's the actual notion of a human economy, assuming civilization continues to progress, will seem very quaint in retrospect. It will seem like sort of cavemen throwing sticks into a fire level of economy compared to what the future will hold. I mean, it's very exciting. I mean, I've been at times kind of worried about like, well, you know, is this seems like it's somewhat unnerving to have intelligence created that is far greater than our own. And will this be bad or good for humanity? It's like I think it'll be good. Most likely it'll be good. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Let's go back and watch that face again, where he's talking about essentially the balance between human annihilation and human infinite abundance, and his face.
Yeah.
I think one technical problem that we still need to solve, besides just compute, is how do we unblock the data bottleneck? Because when we try to scale up the RL in this case, we did invent a lot of new techniques, innovations, to allow us to figure out how to find a lot of challenging RL problems to work on. It's not just the problem itself needs to be challenging, but also it needs to be you also need to have like a reliable signal to tell the model you did it wrong, you did it right. This is the sort of the principle of reinforcement learning.
Yeah, right now, and I mentioned this earlier, there's not an infinite amount of problems with verifiable solutions. And if we had that, if we're able to scale that up, well, that would be incredible. And these models would just get so much better. But again, as he's talking about, and he'll continue to talk about, we didn't have that. And they needed to figure out how to either generate more, discover more, figure out ways to actually verify problems that are out in the world. So let's listen.
As the models get smarter and smarter, the number of cool problems or challenging problems will be less and less.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a new type of challenge that we need to surpass besides just compute. Yeah.
Yeah, we actually are running out of actual test questions to ask. So there's like even questions that are ridiculously hard, if not essentially impossible for humans, that are written down questions are swiftly becoming trivial for AI. So then there's, but you know, the one thing that is an excellent judge of things is reality. So, because physics is the law, ultimately, everything else is a recommendation. You can't break physics. So the ultimate test, I think, for whether an AI is, the ultimate reasoning test is reality.
Yes. So
you invent a new technology, like say, improve the design of a car or a rocket, or create a new medication that, and does it work?
yeah.
Does the rocket get to orbit? Does the car drive? Does the medicine work? Whatever the case may be, reality is the ultimate judge here. So it's going to be reinforcement learning, closing the loop around reality.
A lot of preamble here. Let's get to more tests.
Actually, we are thinking about now, with single agent, we're able to solve 40% of a problem. what if we have multiple agents running at the same time? So this is what's called test and compute. And as we scale up the test and compute, actually, we are able to solve almost more than 50% of the text-only subset of the HLE problems. So it's a remarkable achievement, I think.
Yeah, this is insanely difficult. These are so what we're saying is like a majority of the text-based of humanities, scarily named humanities last exam, Grok 4 can solve, and you can try it out for yourself. And with the Grok 4 Heavy, what it does is it spawns multiple agents in parallel, and all of those agents do work independently, and then they compare their work, and they decide which one, like it's like a study.
That is not my understanding of what test time compute means. That's usually when you see like pass at K, that means it launched a bunch of agents, ran the inference, and then compared the results. Not my understanding of test time compute. So maybe he misspoke, or maybe I had a misunderstanding. I don't know. Let me know in the comments.
And it's not as simple as majority vote, because often only one of the agents actually figures out the trick or figures out the solution. But once they share the trick or figure out what the real nature of the problem is, they share that solution with the other agents, and then they essentially compare notes, and then.
I guess in this case, test time compute means basically anything at inference time. So if you're launching a bunch of agents in parallel, they're sharing notes, maybe that is test time compute technically, but again, not how I've been using that term.
So that's the heavy part of Grok 4, is where you scale up the test time compute by roughly an order of magnitude, have multiple agents tackle the task, and then they compare their work, and they put forward what they think is the best result.
So we will introduce Grok 4 and Grok 4 Heavy. Sorry, can you click the next slide?
Sure.
Yes. So basically, Grok 4 is the single agent version, and Grok 4 Heavy is the multi-agent version. So let's take a look how they actually do on those exam problems and also some real life problems.
Yeah. So we're going to start out here, and we're actually going to look at one of those HLE problems. This is actually one of the easier math ones. I don't really understand it very well. I'm not that smart, but I can launch this job here, and we can actually see how it's going to go through and start to think about this problem. While we're doing that, I also want to show a little bit more about like what this model can do and launch a Grok 4 Heavy as well. So everyone knows Polymarket. It's extremely interesting. It's the seeker of truth. It aligns with what reality is most of the time. And with Grok, what we're actually looking at is being able to see how we can try to take these markets and see if we can predict the future as well. So as we're letting this run, we'll see how Grok 4 Heavy goes about predicting the World Series odds for like the current teams in the MLB. And while we're waiting for these to process, we're going to pass it over to Eric, and he's going to show you an example of his.
Yeah. So I guess one of the coolest things about Grok 4 is its ability to understand the world and to solve hard problems by leveraging tools like Tony discussed. And I think one kind of cool example of this, we asked it to generate a visualization of two black holes colliding. And of course, it took there are some liberties. It's in my case actually pretty clear in its thinking trace about what these liberties are. For example, in order for it to actually be visible, you need to really exaggerate the scale of the waves, and yeah. So here's like, this kind of in action.
I cannot wait to test out Grok 4 for coding. I probably will put together an entire video just testing it for coding.
Exaggerates the scale in like multiple ways. It drops off a bit less in terms of amplitude, over distance, and but yeah, we can kind of see the basic effects that are actually correct. It starts with the in spiral, it merges, and then you have the ring down, and like this is basically largely correct. Modulo some of the simplifications that need to do. It's actually quite explicit about this. It uses like post-Newtonian approximation.
I think this is really cool, but I suspect Gemini 2.5 Pro could also get this right. I believe all of the data, all of the code that it needs to simulate two black holes is probably already online, and it's pulling that down. And you can see right here, it's using different websites and looking it up. So I don't know how difficult this problem really is.
Instead of actually like computing the general relativistic effects at like near the center of the black hole, which is incorrect, and will lead to some incorrect results. But the overall visualization is is basically there, and you can actually look.
Yeah, and by the way, don't get me wrong, it's still really cool.
At the kinds of resources that it references. So here it actually, it obviously uses search, it gathers results from a bunch of links, but also reads through a undergraduate text in analytic gravitational wave models. It reasons quite a bit about the actual constants that it should use for a realistic simulation. It references, I guess, existing real-world data, and it's a pretty good model. Yeah.
But like actually going forward, we can give it the same model that physicists use, so it can run the same level of compute that so leading physics researchers are using, and give you a physics accurate black hole simulation.
Exactly.
Just right now it's running in your browser, so.
Yeah, this is just running in your browser.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Pretty simple.
So swapping back real quick here, we can actually take a look. The math problem is finished. The model was able to, let's look at its thinking trace here, so you can see how it went through the problem. I'll be honest with you guys, I really don't quite fully understand the math, but what I do know is that I looked at the answer ahead of time, and it did come to the correct answer here in the final part here.
All right, let me go back a second. So looking at the chain of thought, it looks like it's summarizing it. They're not actually revealing the chain of thought, which is definitely disappointing, but that's what all of these frontier closed source model providers do. They don't want their full chain of thought being exposed because other companies, bad actors, can essentially scrape all of that and use that to train their own models, distillation.
Did come to the correct answer here in the final part here. We can also come in and actually take a look here at our World Series prediction. And it's still thinking through on this one, but we can actually try some other stuff as well. So we can actually try some of the X integrations that we did. So we worked very heavily on working with all of our X tools and building out a really great X experience. So we can actually ask, the model, find me the XAI employee that has the weirdest profile photo. So that's going to go off and start that, and then we can actually try out.
That's one of the biggest differentiators of Grok is its ability to search through X posts, which not only gives it incredible amounts of information, although again, a lot of noise to the actual signal, but also real-time news, real-time information, which is really cool. And no other company has access to the X dataset like XAI does. Now, obviously Google has Google Search and Meta has Facebook and Instagram. So it's close, but a lot of the conversations are happening on X, and especially the real-time conversations.
Let's create a timeline based on X post detailing the changes in the scores over time, and we can see all the conversation that was taking place at that time as well. So we can see who are the announcing scores and what was the reactions at those times as well. So we'll let that go through here and process. And if we go back to this was the Greg Yang.
Of course, it's
here.
Greg Yang.
So if we scroll through here, whoops. So Greg Yang, of course, who has his favorite photograph that he has on his account. That's actually not how he looks like in real life, by the way. Just so you're aware, but it is quite funny.
But it had to understand that question.
Yeah.
Which is that's the wild part. It's it understands what is a weird photo. What is a weird photo?
Yeah.
What is a less or more weird photo?
It goes through, it has to find all the team members, it has to figure out who we all are. It,
Right.
Searches
This
X.
is without access to the internal XAI personnel logs.
No.
It's literally looking at just at the internet.
Exactly.
So you could say the weirdest of any company.
Yeah.
To be clear.
Exactly. And we can also take a look here at the question here for the humanities last exam. So it is still researching all of the historical scores, but it will have that final answer here soon. But we can, while it's finishing up, we can take a look at one of the ones that we set up here a second ago. And we can see, like, it finds the date that, like, Dan Hendricks initially announced it. We can go through, we can see, OpenAI announcing their score back in February. And we can see, as progress happens with, like, Gemini, we can see, like, Kimi, and we can also even see, the leaked benchmarks of what people are saying is, if it's right, it's going to be pretty impressive. So pretty cool. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how everybody uses these tools and gets the most value out of them. Yeah, it's been great.
Yeah, and we're going to close the loop around usefulness as well. So it's like, it's not just book smart, but actually practically smart.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's really important. All of these scores, like humanities last exam and the MMLU and all of these other tests, these benchmarks, really aren't the kind of vibe check that we want. It's not the real world usefulness. It's cool and it allows it to use tools and get better at other things, but the real world usefulness is what I'm here for.
So we actually evaluate also on the multimodal subset. So on the full set, this is the number on the HLE exam. You can see there's a little dip on the numbers. This is actually something we're improving on, which is the multimodal understanding capabilities. But I do believe in a very short time, we're able to really improve and got much higher numbers on this, even higher numbers on this benchmark. Yeah.
Yeah, this is we still like what is the biggest weakness of Grok currently is that it's sort of partially blind. It can't. Its image understanding, obviously, and its image generation needs to be a lot better, and that's actually being trained right now. So Grok 4 is based on version 6 of our foundation model, and we are training version 7, which will complete in a few weeks, and that'll address the weakness on the vision side.
Mm-hmm. Just to show off this last here, so the prediction market finished here with a heavy, and we can see here, we can see all the tools and the process it used to actually go through and find the right answer. So it browsed a lot of odds sites, it calculated its own odds comparing to the market to find its own alpha and edge. It walks you through the entire process here, and it calculates the odds of the winner being like the Dodgers, and it gives them a 21.6% chance of winning this year. So, and it took approximately 4.5 minutes to compute.
Yeah, that's a lot of thinking.
Yeah.
All right, are they going to show the polymarket version or not? I guess not.
We can also look at all the other benchmarks.
All right, now we got the other benchmarks. GPT-QA as compared to Claude 4 Opus right there. Gemini 2.5 Pro, probably the best model on the planet prior to Grok 4, but we'll see. This is, again, just benchmarks. Doesn't mean all that much till we actually get to use it. We have Amy 2025. Wow, a 100% score. Insane. That has not been achieved previously. O3 was number 1. We have LCB, which I've not actually heard of, so I'm going to have to look into that. USAMO 25 at 61.9% and HMMT 25. I actually not heard of these three at all. I know Amy and I know GPQA, so I don't know these other ones.
As it turned out, Grok 4 excelled on all the reasoning benchmarks that people usually test on, including GPQA, which is a PhD level problem sets. That's easier compared to HLE. On AMY 25, American Invitation Mathematics exam, with Grok 4 Heavy, we actually got a perfect score. Also on some of the coding benchmark called Live Coding Bench, and also on HMMT, Harvard Math, MIT exam, and also USAMO. You can see actually on all of those benchmarks, we often have a very large leap against the second best model out there.
Yeah, I mean, really, we're going to get to the point where it's going to get every answer right in every exam. And where it doesn't get an answer right, it's going to tell you what's wrong with the question. Or if the question is ambiguous, disambiguate the question into answers A, B, and C and tell you what answers A, B, and C would be with a disambiguated question. So the only real test then will be reality. Can it make useful technologies, discover new science? That'll actually be the only thing left, because human tests will simply not be meaningful.
Yeah, we need to make an update to HLE very soon, given the current rate of progress. So yeah, it's super cool to see like multiple agents that collaborate with each other, solving really challenging problems. So we're going to try this model. So it turned out it's available right now. If we advance to the next slide, where there is a super Grok Heavy tiers that we're introducing, where you're able to access to both Grok 4 and Grok 4 Heavy, where you're actually going to be the taskmaster of a bunch of little Grok research.
Yes, of course, I'm going to upgrade, and of course I'm going to show you.
And now let's get into voice.
So many of you have been enjoying our voice mode, and we've been working hard to improve the experience over the past couple months. We have cut latency in half to make it much snappier. And today we're excited to announce a set of new voices that have exceptional naturalness and prosody. You might have noticed the movie trailer voice that opened up the live stream. That is one of our new voices, Sal, who's got that epic.
That's really cool. So right now, OpenAI's advanced voice mode is the most realistic sounding voice. It does all the human things like and and stutters and all the kind of almost overly human things. And now maybe Grok 4 will be competitive with it.
Epically deep tone. And we're also excited to introduce Eve, a beautiful British voice who's capable of rich emotions. Aman, would you like to introduce Eve?
Absolutely. Yeah, let's get into the demo. Hey Eve, millions of people are watching us right now. Are you excited?
Oh, I'm thrilled, really. It's like being on stage at the Old Vic with a sea of faces out there. Just imagine all those eyes and ears tuned in. It's a proper buzz, isn't it? What do you reckon we should chat about to keep this lot entertained?
You know, we have a lot to talk about, but I'll be honest, I'm feeling a little nervous. Can you whisper something soothing to calm me down?
Take a deep breath, love. You've got this. It's just you and me, having a quiet chat, like we're tucked away in a cozy
That's so
corner
weird.
of a Yorkshire pub. The world's just a murmur out there. Feel that calm wash over you. Let's keep talking, nice and easy. What's on your mind?
You know what? I'm actually feeling quite relaxed to try this something crazy. So can you give us an opera on Diet Coke?
Oh, an opera on Diet Coke. That's a riot. Picture this, a shimmering silver can, glistening under stage lights. Oh, Diet Coke, thou elixir divine, with bubbles that dance in a sparkling line. Thy crisp, cool kiss on lips so fine. Oh, aspartame, ambrosia, forever mine. How's that for a mad little aria?
Do you need that?
Want me to belt out another verse or switch up the tune?
Okay, let's try switching it up and just start singing.
Right then, let's have a go. Oh, silver can, you gleam in the light. Diet Coke, my heart's delight.
Okay, I won't try it. It's very, very poetic. Yeah, thank you, Eve. Feeling quite nice now.
Cool. So that's Eve. And so something else we do here is a little test each day to check on the natural flow of our conversations against some of our competitors. So we figured, why not try that live on the stream today?
Should I start? Hey, I'm going to say a number, and can you say the same number back to me? 1.
1, got it. This is like a fun little game of echo. What's next?
2. Sorry, I said 2. 3.
Did. 3. 4, nice and steady. What's next?
5.
5, nailed it. This is pretty fun, actually. Feel free to keep going or switch it up if you'd like.
I don't know if I understood this test. I think it's hard to hear Grok, but maybe it's going first.
Hey, Grok.
Oh, I see. Maybe they weren't actually doing it on Grok yet?
Hey, Grok.
Hello there. How can I help you today?
We're going to do a little test. Can you repeat after me? 1,
1. All right. What's next?
2,
2. What's on your mind?
3,
3. Need anything else?
4,
4. How can I assist you?
5.
5. What's next?
Okay, yeah, they weren't doing a side-by-side test, and yes, that was very low latency.
So as you can see, Grok was snappier. It didn't interrupt me. And the prosody is we've made different design choices. I think we were shooting for something more calm, smooth, more natural, versus something that's more poppy or artificial. So we'll keep improving on these fronts.
Since the launch of the voice model, we actually see the 2x faster end-to-end latency in the last 80 weeks, 5 different voices, and also 10x the active user. So Grok Voice is taking off. Now, if you think about releasing the models, this time we're also releasing Grok 4 through the API at the same time. So if we go to the next 2 slides, so
Nice, that is going to be huge. And there's the ArcAGI test, very nice. And yeah, the fact that it's going to be available through the API right away, that's going to be really good. Hopefully it plugs into things like Cursor and Windsurf and Factory and everything else.
we're very excited about what all developers out there is going to build. So if I think about myself as a developer, what the first thing I'm going to do when I actually have access to the Grok 4 API? Benchmarks. So we actually ask around on the X platform, what is the most challenging benchmarks out there that is considered the holy grail for all the AGI models? So turned out AGI is in the name, ArcAGI. So the last 12 hours, kudos to Greg over here in the audience. So who answered our call, take a preview of the Grok 4 API, and independently verified the Grok 4's performance. So initially we thought, hey, Grok 4 is just we think it's pretty good, it's pretty smart. It's our next-gen reasoning model, spend 10x more compute, can use all the tools, right? But turned out, when we actually verify on the private subset of the ArcAGI v2, it was like the only model in the last 3 months that breaks the 10% barrier. And in fact, it was so good that actually gets to 16%, well, 15.8% accuracy, 2x of the second place, that is the Cloud 4 Opus model. And it's not just about performance, right? When you think about intelligence, having an API model drives your automation. It's also the intelligence per dollar, right? If you look at the plots over here, the Grok is just 4 is just in the league of its own. All right, so enough of benchmark.
Yeah, very impressive. Look at that, double Cloud Opus 4.
Over here, right? So what can Grok do actually in the real world? So we actually contacted the folks from Endon Labs who were gracious enough to try the Grok in the real world to run a business.
Yeah, thanks for having us. So I'm Axel from Endon Labs.
And I'm Lucas, and we tested Grok 4 on Vending Bench. Vending Bench is an AI simulation of a business scenario where we thought, what is the most simple business an AI could possibly run? And we thought vending machines. So in this scenario, the Grok and other models need to do stuff like manage inventory, contact suppliers, set prices. All of these things are.
Yeah, Claude just did this, actually. I don't know if it was the same test, but Claude just had the vending machine test. And by the way, it failed miserably.
Super easy, and all the models can do them one by one. But when you do them over very long horizons, most models struggle. But we have a leaderboard, and there's a new number 1.
Yeah, so we got early access to the Grok 4 API.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it was Vending Bench that Claude 4 did. So there's Claude Opus 4 right there. But by the way, if I remember correctly, Claude started giving away items, started ordering metal cubes and all this weird stuff. So maybe it is truly different. And they just ran Claude Opus 4 separately.
And we saw some really impressive results. So it ranks definitely at the number 1 spot. It's even double the net worth, which is the measure that we have on this eval. So it's not about the percentage on or a score you get, but it's more the dollar value in net worth that you generate. So we were impressed by Grok. It was able to formulate a strategy and adhere to that strategy over a long period of time, much longer than other models that we have tested, other frontier models. So it managed to run the simulation for double the time and score, double the net worth. And it was also really consistent across these runs, which is something that's really important when you want to use this in the real world.
And I think as we give more and more power to AI systems in the real world, it's important that we test them in scenarios that either mimic the real world or are in the real world itself. Because otherwise we fly blind into some things that might not be great.
Yeah, it's great to see that we've now got a way to pay for all those GPUs. So we just need 1 million vending machines.
Definitely.
And we could make $4.7 billion a year with 1 million vending machines.
100%. Let's go.
They can be epic vending machines.
Yes, yes.
All right. We are actually going to install vending machines here, like a lot of them.
We're happy to supply them.
All right, thank you.
All right.
I'm looking forward to seeing what amazing things are in this vending machine.
That's for you to decide.
All right.
I'll tell the AI.
Okay, sounds good.
All right. Yeah. I mean, so we can see like Grok is able to become like the co-pilot of the business unit. So what else can Grok do? So we're actually releasing this Grok. If you want to try it right now to evaluate, run the same benchmark as us.
That's cool. 256K context window, pretty good. Frontier multimodal reasoning, okay. Real-time data search, excellent. Enterprise-grade security, don't quite know what that means, but okay. I think most of all, super excited about the real-time data search. 256K context window isn't actually all that good, especially when you see Google coming up on 2 million now. Hopefully they increase that.
It's on the API, has 256K contact length. So we already actually see some of the early adopters to try Grok 4 API. So our Palo Alto neighbor, Arc Institute, which is a leading biomedical research center, is already seeing like how can they automate their research flows with Grok 4. It turned out it's able to help the scientists to sniff through millions of experiments logs and then just like pick the best hypothesis within a split of seconds. We see this is being used for their the CRISPR research, and also Grok 4 independently evaluated scores as the best model to examine the chest X-ray. Who would know? In the financial sector, we also see the Grok 4 with access to all the tools, real-time information is actually one of the most popular AIs out there. So our Grok 4 is also going to be available on the hyperscalers. So the XAI enterprise sector is only started 2 months ago, and we're open for business. The other thing, we talked a lot about having Grok to make games, video games. So Danny is actually a video game designer on X. So we mentioned, hey, who want to try out some Grok 4 preview APIs to make games? And Danny answered the call. So this was actually...
That's great. Danny, congratulations on that. I've seen a bunch of your tweets. He basically vibe codes games seemingly all day long. Let's see what he made. Very nice.
Just made first-person shooting game in a span of 4 hours. So some of the unappreciated hardest problem of making video games is not necessarily in coding the core logic of the game, but actually go out, source all the assets, all the textures of files, and to create a visually appealing game. So one of the core aspects Grok 4 does really well with all the tools out there is actually able to automate these asset sourcing capabilities. So the developers can just focus on the core development itself rather than so now you can run a entire game studios, and then you can have Grok 4 to go out and source all those assets, do all the mundane tasks for you.
Yeah. Now the next step obviously is for Grok to be able to play the game. So it has to have very good video understanding, so it can play the games and interact with the games and actually assess whether a game is fun and actually have good judgment for whether a game is fun or not. So with version 7 of our foundation model, which finishes training this month, and then we'll go through post-training RL and whatnot, that will have excellent video understanding. And with the
excellent video understanding is great. Taste, determining if a joke is funny, if a movie is good, if a video game is fun to play. I don't quite believe, I'm just not sure yet, that AI is going to be able to do that, at least for the foreseeable future. That is the realm of humans, curating incredible experiences for themselves and other humans. I just haven't seen AI do that yet.
With video understanding and improved tool use, for example, for video games, you'd want to use Unreal Engine or Unity or one of the main graphics engines, and then generate the art, apply it to a 3D model, and then create an executable that someone can run on a PC or a console or a phone. We expect that to happen probably this year, and if not this year, certainly next year. So that's it's going to be wild. I would expect the first really good AI video game to be next year.
I don't think so. I think that's an aggressive timeline, but I guess we'll see. I like being optimistic, but that seems incredibly aggressive to me. All right, I know we've been here a while. It's almost over. We just have a couple minutes left, so bear with me. Grok 4 release right now, then the coding model, very exciting, in about August. Multimodal agent coming in September, then video generation in October. All right. So that's it. Hope you enjoyed watching it with me. We have multiple videos coming about Grok. I'm going to do a breakdown. We're going to do a lot of testing. So be sure to subscribe. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving a like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.